And we're live on the Skulls and Knives podcast with Caleb Robinson, your host. Hello, everyone. Trying out this new mustache thing. What do you think about it, Maddy? Is it okay?
I think it looks really cool. I think you pull it off.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Anyways, today I have my sister, Maddy, on with us. What's up, dude?
Hey, guys.
Just so you know, my face is going to be in a weird spot the whole time because of where the microphone is. So
that's fine.
Please don't be bothered. If you see anything in my beard, though, let me know.
Okay, I'll keep you posted.
Sounds good to me. All right, let's just make sure Audacity's going. Cool. Awesome possum. All right, so Maddy, let's start out by just talking about who you are. So who are you? What do you do? What are some things about you that people might want to know? Or anything. It doesn't have to be what people want to know. Just
I was going to say, I don't know if anybody wants to know anything about me, but, I'll tell them anyways.
I'm going to have him on eventually, too.
Okay, good. But yeah, I'm Caleb's sister. I live in Arizona. I work at the same company as my dad, so I work for a construction company. I'm their subcontract administrator, so I write all the subcontracts and handle all of our subs and all that kind of fun stuff. I am engaged to a guy named Anthony, and we have a puppy named Bentley. And that's who I
am. Oh, man. When did you guys get engaged again? Exactly.
Oh, fuck you for asking me that.
Just give me a month.
March 30th of last year.
Yeah, and how was that? What all conspired for that?
Oh, I was pissed at him right before. So, a little bit about Anthony. He's a car guy, but he's not like a fancy car guy. He likes old, kind of beaten down cars because he likes to restore them and mess with them and make them run again. So he's had many of old words. He has had many old cars in his day, and so him breaking down was not new. It was just annoying. So we had a date night planned, and he was like, I want you to dress up, wear a dress, make yourself feel good. So he was going to pick up car parts somewhere from a guy on Craigslist or something, and so he left the house, and I get a call around like 4:45-ish. Mm-hmm. And I obviously I'm already ready because it's 15 minutes before he's supposed to pick me up, so I'm changed, I'm ready, got my hair done, got my dress on, and he calls me and he's like, babe, I'm so sorry. I'm going to need you to come pick me up. The car broke down. Yeah. And he was like, so I need you to come pick me up. He was like, I already called to push back our reservations to 7, so we're not going to miss our date night. He was like, please come dressed up. Like, we'll go straight and going the way I wanted it to, obviously. Mm-hmm. And I had to drive probably like 45 minutes to an hour out to get him. And the whole time, I'm like cursing at the windshield. I'm so mad. I'm like, of course he had to take his stupid car that doesn't run right, has to freaking pour water in the engine just to get it to start. I was so mad. And then I pull up and I see his car, and he has the hood popped, but he's not at his car. So I call him, and I'm like, where the F are you? And he was like, oh, just get out of the car. I was like, I'm not even parked. I'm in the middle of the street because your car is parked on the side of the road. Like, what the heck? Who doesn't park the car, get out of the car, and follow the stupid path down here because that's where I'm at? It's okay, whatever. I got out of the car, I slammed the door shut, and the whole way I'm walking over there, I'm like, fuck him, this is so fucking annoying. I'm so pissed, and that little And then I round this corner, and he has this whole little setup going on. There's a suitcase that has all of our memorabilia in it. It's where we keep all of our like date night stuff, and A.M.A.R.I.C.A.N is that open, and it's got all this stuff. There's like a blanket laid out on the desert, and it was so like picture perfect. And I was like, wow, I'm an asshole. Because he's been trying to get me to come out here. And I'm so mad. And then came out of the bushes, and I was so embarrassed because they heard me screaming and cursing his name 2 seconds before. I was like, I love you, yes, I'll marry you. Oh my God. Before I was like, fuck you. So that's kind of how that went down. It was great, but definitely was not expecting it, and definitely was pissed up until the moment.
Damn. Well, that's a little more extravagant than what I did with Hannah, but yeah.
What you did with Hannah was so cute, though.
I know. So just so everyone knows, I proposed in front of everybody at my parents' house in Arizona. Like I made everyone like stop, and like I pulled her out and was like, "I'm proposing to you." She said yes, obviously.
It was sweeter than that. But yeah. And then you guys popped champagne.
Yeah, we still have the champagne bottle in the cork.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and I have the invitation to your wedding bottle of Jones. What's it called? Jones
soda. Yeah,
Jones soda up there, which I thought was pretty cool. But I thought that was unique. I mean, I've never seen anyone do that. I'm sure people do it, but
yeah,
crafts and stuff, and him into cars. I know you guys are like building a bus home right now.
Yeah, that's a whole nother adventure. If you want to know if you're right for someone, buy a bus and decide to turn it into a house and see if you get past the first 2 days of demo. If you do, then you're all set.
I love that.
Yeah, it definitely has been a journey for sure. We bought oh God, I don't even know what year. I think it's like a 1989 Ford school bus. And we're turning it into a tiny home very slowly, but surely we'll get there.
Yeah.
So it's been exciting. We're basically done with demo, and now we have to, wash it and then build it up from there. So the not so fun hard part is done.
Yeah.
Like fun or creative, you're just like tearing stuff apart, and that was very fun for me.
Yeah.
So that's why it took so long.
So what's the Instagram that people can go look at that? Oh. About that. What does that mean?
So Anthony and I were trying to come up with a hashtag for the wedding, actually. And we settled on Lee at Last as our hashtag for the wedding. You can't steal it because we already took it on Instagram. Anyway.
No stealing.
So, yeah, we have that one. And then Anthony came up with another one, which was Leave as We. His last name is Lee. So Lea. And then he was like, we would go into it as like you and I, and we leave as we. And I was like, oh, that's so cute. And then obviously Lee would be in it because that's how you spell leave.
Yeah.
So it was originally supposed to be like a wedding hashtag. And then Anthony was like, why don't we just make that like our like brand name or whatever for the bus, and whatever, blogging or whatever comes from that, we'll just make it Leave as We. I was like, that is so cute. So that's where that came from. Another Anthony idea.
And what possessed you guys to start doing that, like sharing this journey with everybody?
So I've always wanted to live tiny. I won't say always. I've wanted to live tiny since probably like junior year of high school. And then Anthony obviously loves cars and everything to do with cars. So we kind of meshed our two worlds together and decided to buy a bus. And the reason we decided to share it with people was because we as people who don't know how to build a house out of a bus, had to search for people who have done it before. And we found a lot of really awesome people who have gone through this whole process before and who have shared their stories, and they have all this following, and they're able to, travel wherever they want and live the life that they've always wanted because they're able to share their story. Yeah. And so I think that's probably the coolest thing, is to have that freedom to kind of do what you want to do and be you, while also being able to share with the world and inspire people and teach people about different cultures and lifestyles. And I just thought it was a cool way to reach people. People who, yeah, that's a hard one. I don't know how to classify that.
Yeah.
I'll say I like culture. I like learning about culture more than I like specific people.
Yeah, totally. And I was just making a joke about me being a hardcore introvert, but...
No, but you're so right, because some people are just too much or not okay.
Yeah. And, but speaking of that, that's something I noticed, working at Vault in a kitchen, all alone most of the time, was that turned me way more the other direction into, wanting to talk to people all the time. And so I realized pretty quickly that I was just being too explosive on them, I think. They're all, as soon as someone comes back, hey, did you hear about this thing? But it's like a dog, when you and then you leave and then you come back, even if it's for 2 seconds, it's hey,
it's like human, hi.
Exactly. And so that's something I noticed. But anyways, yeah, so the bus.
That's my life.
Yeah. What?
Thanks for coming to the pod, guys. It's been great.
I have some other things written down, so I didn't forget to ask you questions. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah. How are you two and the dog adjusting to Rona-Life?
Oh, well, Bentley, our dog, is loving it because he never has to go in his crate. There's always somebody that he can go throw his face at to be pet. He can go to the bathroom all the time because we're always home. So he's fun. Anthony and I are a little different. I think it's mainly just hard. It's almost like you were saying, when you're isolated for so long, then you crave that people interaction, and it's so hard for me because I'm such an extrovert. I'm tell me your life story, tell me all of it. And so this has just made it so much worse because all I want to do is talk to people, but I want to talk to them face to face, and I can't do that. I mean, I can FaceTime them, but I can't meet with them in person. I can't go out to lunch with my friends. I can't go dancing with Brittany. I can't do anything like that. And it's, as much as I'm complaining about it, I get the whole idea behind it. I understand to not lose it. So Anthony's different because he will get off of work and then go game. So that's how he talks to his friends, because all of his friends are in Portland. Yeah. So he talks to his friends over gaming, and he's used to that. So he's fine, and I don't really think he ever has a whole lot of issues. But we run out of stuff to do. It's
I feel that.
Yeah. Here, I'm not driving there. I'm staying here all the time. I have so much time. I could be doing so much stuff. I could be doing schoolwork. I could be doing all of this stuff. But no, I'm sitting in my bed watching Frozen 2 for the 15th time. It's so bad. I'm I might as geez. And I know that all these people who have kids, I've seen multiple posts on Facebook and stuff where they're like, what's life like when you don't have kids? Do you get to, like take a nap whenever you want and, hang out all the time? Like, I will take your children because I just want another personality in this goddamn house to communicate with.
That's funny.
Ugh.
Yeah, we've started to feel that tension a little bit of just like, being with someone so much of your time. Like it could be anybody, like it's for us, it's literally the person we love, and we're like, holy fuck, get out of my hair. Like,
yeah, I totally get that.
And like not all the time, obviously, but they're just like some testy moments, and so we're navigating those for the first time, really, and so that's been interesting.
How are the kiddos doing?
They're fine. They just are bummed that they can't go to the park because it's all closed up. Like we could go run out in the grass and stuff, but they can't play on any of the equipment. And so like when I tell them like, hey, we can go on a walk, but we can't play at the park, they're like, I don't want to. Like, screw it. Yeah. And so we've been opening up the back patio, which we have a really big patio. We're on a second story. But we have a really big patio, and I have like one of those kiddie slides out there and some balls and stuff, and they have chalk. And so I basically most of the day just leave the door open, like, all right, just come in and out as you please. Like, go enjoy this little bit of sun you get. And so luckily the weather's been decently nice the past few days, and it's supposed to warm up here for a little bit. So that'll be good. But so we have it on our phones. It's the Call of Duty mobile game, which is free, by the way, and super addicting. Everyone, go play it. It's dope. It does take up a lot of space on your phone, but it's worth it and wonderful. But yeah, so we played that once, and we've just been like watching a lot of movies and stuff. Like we watched The Orville finally. We binge watched it in like 3 days and watched all season 1 and 2. So that was a good watch. And then we also recently watched Onward. Have you watched that yet?
Yes, Disney? I watched it.
It's so good.
Yesterday or the day before.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. I cried at the end.
Me too.
Oh my lord. I was like,
I mean, it's no surprise that I cried. I cry at every movie, whether there's a sad part or not. But yeah, that movie was so good. They did such a good job at everything. The casting was fantastic. Like the whole storyline went together seamlessly. I never stopped watching.
Same.
So good.
Yeah, that movie's great. If you haven't watched that, it's great. It's a kids movie, quote unquote. It's really good. And like I don't know, I've always been a fan of animated shows. Like basically since we were allowed to watch SpongeBob back in the day. Once we finally got cable, that's when it like really, really kicked off for me, at least, like loving cartoons. Especially the shit like that was on Cartoon Network. Like SpongeBob was the exception, but like Ed, and Eddie, like all that
Courage
shit.
The Cowardly Dog. And...
Dude, I was watching Courage like, God, I don't know how many months ago, but I just like turned on an episode because I think we were in Arizona and it was like on Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, let's watch this. Like, why not? And I was like, holy crap, this show is dark.
Save everybody and it never worked.
Yes. And then Cat Dog was another good one.
Oh yeah.
And then Invader Zim was really good too.
Yep, you loved Invader Zim.
Shit, yeah. I was with all those emo kids wearing Zim backpacks and shit. Except I think all I had was like a couple Invader Zim pins on my backpack or whatever. But yeah, I was super into Invader Zim. And that recently just turned into me, which but turned into me like getting an anime the past few years. And so I wouldn't say that I'm a massive like I haven't had the time to like really become fully engrossed in everything about it. Like I've met people who are super into it and have been into it for years and years, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you gotta watch this, you gotta watch that, you gotta watch this, you gotta watch that." I'm like, oh, "Okay, that's a lot of stuff. They all have like 80 seasons." Okay.
Seriously, so, they go on forever.
Yeah, it's because they're super popular.
Crazy. They're so like, I'll agree that they're really good. A lot of them have amazing storylines, and the fact that they're able to have 80 seasons and people haven't canceled them yet, like not even freaking Law and Order can last that long, and that show has lasted forever.
Hasn't Law and Order lasted that long though?
I think so. It's been around since like I watched it at A.M.A.R.I.C.A.N.
No, I think they've had more than 80.
Oh, you're saying they've been around for so long that they might surpass. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know either, but
their characters, like they have to kill them off at some point. So
yeah, because they get too old.
Eventually you get a whole new crew, and then you're just not that into it, you know.
Yeah, but which is comic books for the lay person. But yeah, most of these stories are all based on the manga. And so if you think about like comic book series, I mean, look at the Avengers, you know, and then now double that popularity and number of issues, and you're looking at like an average really good, you know, anime series. And so like that's the kind of material they're working with. In the same way that we'll never run out of plot lines for superhero movies, there will never run out of plot lines for anime. And so
Anthony watches one anime show called Initial D. It's a driving surprise. It's a car anime, and I actually have gotten into it, which is a surprise because I don't always like anime. My friends from high school used to watch anime, and I just never really got into it, but it might have just been like the series they were watching or whatever. But Initial D is actually pretty good.
I'll have to check it out. I kind of want to watch the new season of Castlevania. Have you watched that one yet?
I have not, but is it on Netflix?
Yes, it is.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure I've seen it on Netflix, and I almost...
season yet, but I've seen everything that came out before. And God, it's good. It's all about like these crazy vampire hunter and this actual vampire, and they like have to deal with Dracula and all this shit, but it's like in an anime form. And it's like an entirely different story. Like it's not the story of Dracula. It's just based on Dracula. So
that's cool.
It's pretty cool.
Would you consider like Avatar: The Last Airbender like a branch of anime?
Yeah, I would call Avatar I would personally call Avatar: The Last Airbender an anime, and we were really into that.
Oh yeah,
when we were kids. Sure. Again, storyline's great. Everything was cool. I was bummed when they put out the live action and butchered it so bad. Yeah. Don't actually go watch that live action if you've seen Avatar. And you'll be like, oh yeah, this is garbage. But yeah, I mean, one that a lot of anime people said was bad, but actually got me into the anime was Death Note. Have you watched the Death Note movie?
I don't think so.
Okay, so because you're someone that's not super into anime and already knows the story, which I didn't know at the time, I would watch Death Note. It's on Netflix. It's a Netflix original movie. And it's based on the anime, which is based on a manga, and it's all like horror, psychological thriller shit. And so the movie is not a super good representation of the story as a whole because they did take the whole story and make it into a movie. But it's a good little like, oh wow, that is interesting. Maybe I'll check out the anime. And then you check out the anime. Dude, I was there. Okay, so the last 3 episodes I watched at like 5 in the morning after watching them since I had gotten off work at like 10 or whatever it was at my old apartment. And I'm just pacing back and forth watching the TV for like 3 hours of the last 3 episodes. Just pacing like, oh my god, 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 oh my god. It is stupid good. You have to
I'll have to watch it.
It is so good. And you have plenty of time now. And it is the craziest psychological thriller, dope shit, twist plots, crazy nutty shit. And the great part about it is that it follows the manga pretty closely. And I believe that the manga was finished, or at least almost finished, by the time they started the anime. And so the anime, because it's so many seasons, actually lines up really close with the manga and the original, the original storytellers of the story. And so it's pretty dope. That is one that I cannot recommend more, is that. Another one that's pretty good, real quick here, is Attack on Titan. It's a little more war themed, but again, like a mystery psychological thriller kind of thing. Super gory and really good. But Death Note is not as gory, and it's way more psychological thriller, crazy shit happening. Yeah, that's as much as I'll say, because it's really good, and I want you to be surprised. But
okay.
Yeah, watch the movie, see if the storyline's something that would interest you. That's just the general storyline. And then watch the anime if you're interested. Sorry, I keep having to pause and breathe. I feel like I'm like running on 100 miles an hour right now, and I don't know why. I'm not drinking coffee. This is wine in a Christmas mug. So everyone knows.
In a Christmas mug?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's so cute.
Yeah. I'm almost halfway through it, and it was completely... You know what brand it was? I think it's Barefoot.
Oh, nice.
I don't know. Anyways, it's good. Gets the job done. It's not my favorite wine. Hannah and I's favorit wine is Willamette Valley Riesling. So good.
I don't like wine.
You're stupid.
So after I turned 21, Shelby and I went down to this little like wine tasting place in Gilbert. Anyways, so they have a wine tasting place right around that area, and we went, and Shelby was like, "I love wine. Like, let's go. This is gonna be awesome." And we went, and both of us hated all of them. So I think it was more of like a where it was coming from. Like, we didn't like that specific wine because Shelby drinks wine.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm assuming it's just because she drinks the same, like, 2 wines all the time. She has, like, an acquired taste for those. And then I have never had wine before. So I drink it, and I was like, I don't understand why people like this.
Yeah, so...
I think the only wine I've ever had...
Like, wine snobs will sometimes be like, oh, you have to try this vintage and blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, just try it all and drink what you like. Like, obviously, well, so for me, when I go to a restaurant on occasion and do get wine, you know, I'll get like whatever's supposed to be paired with it. And wine paired with the right food is really good, and they can accent each other so well. But then I also enjoy like lots of wine. So like, for instance, the Moscato I'm drinking right now is on the way sweet end. Most of those cheaper box wines and shit are going to be on the, like, for instance, like pink Moscato is going to be on the very sweet end. Same with like Riesling. the stuff I usually drink is like sweeter whites because that's also what Hannah likes, and I'm down for whatever. And so that's what I'm typically drinking. But I also really enjoy like a solid Cabernet Sauvignon, which is like a dark, rich red. That's in my opinion like more on the like tanniny, bitter side of wine, something that if someone's only used to drinking pink Moscato would probably hate. And so it's also, they're usually pretty dry. And so you know when you eat like a grape and it almost makes your mouth taste dry rather than wet. That's like what this wine is doing. It's like, how am I drinking this and becoming more and more thirsty? But yeah, so well, I'm not judging you for wine, really. I just thought it would be funny to call you stupid.
I mainly drink like whiskeys or bourbons. I think like when I go out and order a drink, I usually will order like a Makers and Coke. But if I am at home, I usually drink Fireball and Dr. Pepper.
Okay, I would just like to point out that a Makers and Coke is, at least in my opinion, just as bad as a Fireball and Dr. Pepper.
See, I think that the Makers, and it's 100% just because Fireball has such a horrible reputation for so many people. Mm-hmm. Like, I know so many people who are like, I will not drink Fireball. The smell of Fireball makes me throw up. And I'm like, well, you partied wrong.
Yeah, right. You drank shots. You didn't drink that shit with Squirt or Dr. Pepper. That's delicious with Dr. Pepper.
You screwed up big time. But so I think that's why I'm always like when I go out, I don't order Fireball because people are gonna be like, oh, this, then she's gonna throw up in 20 minutes. I'm like, no, I like sipping on it. So I think that's why I always order like Makers, is because it sounds less.
It sounds like that. And
well, usually when I get it, the bartender has made me a Makers on the rocks with like a dash of Coke. And I am such a lightweight that I just like, and we order drinks. I'm drunk like 4 sips in. I'm like, woo, this is great.
Drunk? Damn. Usually,
I'll say more of like a tipsy. I'm like feeling it. I'm like, ooh, I could party right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm similar. Yeah, I'm similar. But that's surprising that you. Well, I guess it's not surprising because you're mixing Coca-Cola with it. Like, I don't know. I'm not dogging on the drink at all, but it's hard. It's interesting. Like, so the bar I work at's like a super nice high-end bar. And so when there are people who order like a rum and Coke or Jack and Coke or whatever, like, that we're like, oh great, some dude ordering bullshit, or being like, why would you mix a perfectly good whiskey with Coca-Cola?
If I go someplace like fancy, like there's this place called the White Rabbit in Gilbert, and it's like this underground speakeasy, have to enter through like a bookshelf kind of thing. It's actually really cool. Next time you're down, we should go.
Yeah.
But it's like a swanky high-end bar, and we went there for Brittany's birthday, and I looked at the menu and I was like, I'm not even going to attempt to be that bitch that orders something stupid. Like, I'm just going to order something off the menu. And so I ordered a whiskey sour, and that is when I fell in love with whiskey sours.
Whiskey sours
They're actually pretty good.
Yeah. All that egg white, bro. Delicioso. See, I
really like them.
So I actually prefer whiskey sours with quote unquote vegan. So they use aquafaba instead of eggs, which is just the juice that comes out of a can of garbanzo beans. So and then they spice up the name as aquafaba. What is it? Oh, it's canned juice from some shit beans. But I don't know. I find the taste a little better. I don't know. The egg white throws me off. It's probably because I'm just dumb. But yeah, just my opinion on those. But what? So you like whiskey sours? What's another drink you like? I'm curious.
I honestly haven't tried a whole lot. I know for a fact that I don't like vodka, unless the taste is like completely disguised. Like whenever I go dancing with Brittany, I get vodka lemonades.
Okay, yeah, that's delicious.
And so and usually it's like a blueberry lemonade or like an organic house lemonade or something fancy.
Mm-hmm.
So it usually ends up tasting really good because it tastes more like lemon and whatever fruit they put in it versus the vodka. But I don't like vodka when you can taste it at all. Like if I can taste the vodka, I won't drink it.
See,
and then
I was just going to say a quick story about vodka. When I was living at the Sandy house, which was this house I lived in right when I moved here, with a bunch of people. And me and one of my roommates bought a Brita filter from like one of those Brita pitcher filter things from Goodwill, and then bought a new cartridge to put in it. And then we would pour Belvedere vodka, which is like the cheap one that comes in the plastic bottle, into the Brita to filter out all the like gross, like that shit. The Brita filter would be black, dude. There's so much shit in it. And then we would do shots of what came out of the bottom, like ice cold in the freezer.
I really wish that they could see my face right now. It's confusion mixed with disgust, mixed with a whole lot of curiosity. Yeah, just like that. That's weird.
I know, but we were dumb and we were like, let's do that. That's also where I tried Whippets for the first time, which is dumb. A Whippet is where, so you know, in a whipped cream canister, okay,
yeah.
The recharge CO2, I believe it is,
yeah.
nitrogen, whatever the fuck it is.
It's
CO2. The little cartridges, the name brand for them is Whippet. And so what you do is essentially rig it to discharge it and breathe it in. Yeah, rather than using it to, spray some foam buzz. But okay, so when you get buzzed from drinking, let's say like almost drunk, right?
Yeah.
It gets you that boom, just there immediately. And you're just like,
wow,
what the fuck? And it lasts for like max a minute and a half, and then you're fine because you breathed it all out. And so similar to kind of how helium like makes your voice higher because it's like a lighter gas. The gas, instead of the CO2, rather than being just oxygen, makes you go like, ooh, like short out for a second.
I'm sure that's not good for you.
No, it can't be. I've only done it I did it like 3 times that day, and that's the only time I've done it. But yeah,
I've done some stupid shit, but not quite that.
Yeah, we tried. I tried dabs for the first time in that house.
Those will knock you on your ass.
Oh yeah. Oh dude, it was insane. Sorry, real quick. I have another story.
No, please go.
So funny. Okay, so there was a guy I worked with, Tony, and I was still new to the area, and he was like, hey dude, you want to go get high at my house after we work today? And I was like, okay, cool. So I go over to his house and he loads up a bong, and I'm like, dude, I've like barely smoked any weed at this point. Like I smoked like maybe 3 times before I left Arizona, like right before, and then like again like a hit here or there off of some shitty grass. And so I'm like, yeah, I'll come to your house. And so he loads up a bong and regular flower, start drinking, and he's like, "Hey man, take a hit." I'm like, "All right." So I take one, like, breathe it all the way in, breathe it all the way out. And he said it was mild. For my light ass, it was not mild at all. And I was, the room was spinning. I had to go to his bathroom twice to throw up beer, and then got more beer to drink because I was like, there's nothing else to drink in the house. And I was like trying to play cool, like nothing was happening because I like just met this guy a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, dude, I'm cool, man. I can party, I can hang, you know. And so I'm laying on one of his couches, and we're watching that movie Dracula. It's like a live action movie. It's not even that scary. But anyways, it's not supposed to be a scary movie at all. But I remember being terrified watching it like it was a horror movie, and everything was spinning. And I finally just like randomly said, "Dude, I gotta go. I'm sorry. Like I just have to leave. Like I can't be in here anymore. Like I'll see you tomorrow. Like it's cool. I just gotta go." So I left. I made it to the train station. Got on the Max. Got home. I wasn't too far away from home, but still, I got home and go to sleep. Wake up. I leave my room, and across the hall from me, one of my roommates has his dab rig out, and I just woke up. It's like 10:30 in the morning, and he goes, "I haven't eaten anything. Okay, haven't eaten anything. Only thing in my system is the beer I managed to keep down from the night before." And he goes, "Yo, you want to try a dab?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not? Like, who cares? Like, I'm already on this path. So let's just go for it." And so I took one dab hit mildly, and we were watching the Colbert Report, and I got like 2 seconds into it, and I was like, I can't. The room was spinning. I could not get my bearings at all. Like it was almost like literally doing loop-de-loops. Like just like, ooh, I'm like, am I moving like this? Is the world spinning weird? And so I walk back across the hall into my room, and I can't lay down all the way in my bed because the room would start spinning even worse. And I can't sit all the way up because then the room would start spinning even worse. So I literally like laid on my side, like with my arm propping myself up. The room is not spinning. That poster is not moving. Everything is fine. The room is not spinning. That poster is not moving. Everything is fine. Okay. The next thing I know, it's dark outside.
Oh my God.
And I'm like so hungry. So I walked down to the Chinese food place down the street from our house, like still pretty high, but like at this point, like happy high, like, oh yeah, like I can move around and I'm fine. And I called Hannah, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so high. Like, can you believe? I guess it wasn't only a few days after I moved here, a few weeks. But anyways, so I call Hannah, and I'm like, we were just started dating at the time, and I'm like, I'm so high, blah blah blah. And like when I got Chinese food, and then I ate it in my bed and went back to sleep. And that's like how I spent my weekend 1 week. It was just like spending over 8 hours staring at a wall, going, everything's not moving. You're fine. Everything's not moving. You're fine. Yeah.
I get that.
Don't do dabs.
One of my friends would always try to get me to take dabs. But I knew that, and I was like, I know that it's concentrated. I know that it's wet. Like, I know what that is. I've been around you guys long enough. Like, I've seen you guys pick it up from the dispensary. Like, I'm well aware of what's happening here. And I know that this is going to murder me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one night, drunk little Maddy did not think anything through. And my friend was like, Maddy, come on. Like, it's the best night ever. I'll buy you Wendy's chicken nuggets. Like, let's do it. And I was drunk, so I was like, Wendy's chicken nuggets sound great. And I agreed. And I didn't even finish the wax that he had barely portioned out for me. I like smoked half of it, and I was like dying. And then I laid on the floor, and he had like a really shaggy rug.
Mm-hmm.
I had my hands inside the rug, like holding onto the rug for dear life because it was just me and the rug. Everything else was moving. Nothing else made sense. Literally, it was in my head. I was picturing myself as, you know, when like me and the rug and everything else is yes. It was exactly. It was so bad. Oh my god, that was the worst, and I never ever took a dab after that. First and last time, I was like, nope, I'm good.
Yep, that was also my first and last time. Yeah, Hannah's never dabbed, and there's a reason.
Yeah, don't do it, Hannah.
Don't do it.
I don't plan on it.
Dude, you know
Don't
what?
get sucked in.
You know what really fucks me up is edibles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made my own
Don't
weed
take
butter.
NyQuil and eat edibles.
No,
Don't
that's
do
a horrible idea.
Yeah, well, I didn't
Said
think...
don't take NyQuil and eat edibles.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, half your body will go numb, and you'll think that you won't wake up when you fall asleep. So then you keep calling random friends throughout the night to make sure that they know that you're still alive.
Psychological delusions. How you doing on the religious front? I'm curious now.
Delusions and religion.
I'm kidding, everyone who's religious. By the way.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer.
I have a hard time with this because what I tell people is that because I don't really know what else to say is I identify as a Christian, but I don't agree with anything. So I don't know. I don't know. So I personally have a relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
My issue is I don't know what God looks like, what he or she or they, whatever, are doing.
Mm-hmm.
There's just too many unknowns to just follow something.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I really stopped going to church in the sense of Christianity was because I was tired of the checklist Christians.
Mm-hmm.
I hated that, and I hated that I had become one. It was definitely we were pastors' kids growing up, so obviously we checked all the boxes. Like, you want me to say all the books of the Bible? I got you. You want me to recite a whole bunch of random verses that don't mean anything? I've got you. You want me to sing a song about the fruits of the Spirit? I've got you.
You want me to pop balloons with my tailbone real good? I got you.
I got you.
Yeah.
Like, they still have these kids trained. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, imagine the boy. Just so everyone knows, imagine the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts, but it's with like Jesus. So like you're not learning how to tie knots. You're learning Bible verses, and you get like little points and rewards, and so they're all like based out of all the different churches and stuff. And they play games, and one of them is passing a ball between everyone's legs and then popping it first. And I was always at the end because I was a fat kid, and I'm like, dude, if I can get this pointy ass tailbone into this balloon with this huge ass weight, I'm gonna own this shit. And I did.
But yeah, so I kind of stopped going to church because I was tired of the checklist Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And to elaborate on kind of what that is in my head, it's the people who go to church because it's what they've always done. It's the people who go to church to say they went to church, read their Bible to say they read their Bible, pray because we're told to, and they can check it off their list. And so when they go to Wednesday night Bible study and they have to give a progress report to their leader, they're like, "Yes, sir, I read 3 books of the Bible, and I can recite them all by heart, and I can you know, I prayed for Billy Bob Joe and his clan and blah, 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 and whatever. And although all those things are great, I think there's multiple sides, but I think there's two sides to it. There's one side of doing it because you truly believe in the love, like
they don't.
I knew before I was like 5 that like God was loving, God was forgiving, God was omniscient, omnipresent, all these things. And then I'm being told that he can't love the gays, or he can't, you know, help people through cheating, and he can't help people through all these identity crises, and he doesn't love transgender people, and he does, like, I'm like, do you guys not realize that if God's all knowing, telling everybody, and, you know, having people preach and, you know, grow the body of Christ about love and acceptance, he was meaning all of it. Like, he already knew about the gays. He already knew about the transgender people. He already knew about the cheating spouses. He already knew about the kids out of wedlock. He already knew about all these things. Like, just because it's new to you doesn't mean that it's new to God.
Yeah.
And that was always a huge issue for me, because when I was in high school, I had many gay friends and many bisexual friends, and it's so huge for us.
Yeah.
Church was huge for me. I sang on the worship group. I went to every single Wednesday Bible study. Every guy I dated was through the church. Like, the church was my life.
Yeah.
And although I loved that life, I didn't love that my life was showing negatively towards others, and that the people that I associated myself with was showing negatively towards others, towards people that I cared about, towards people that I loved. And then some things went down. I saw the way people were being treated, and saw the protests. Everybody was like, oh, those are just extremists. And then, you know, it was like my gay friend was like, well, I already run your children's ministry. Why don't you just hire me? I'll stop practicing being gay to be the leader of this children's ministry. And then it was like, no, because everybody already knows you're gay. So since everybody knows you're gay, I can't hire you, because then the church would have a gay person on the payroll. We can't have that. And I was like, what? He literally just told you he would leave his life of sin, doing quotations here, folks, leave his life of sin to lead your children's ministry. He literally is doing anything and everything that you're asking him to do. Like, that's another thing that I had such a problem with, was they were like, they're sinning. They're living a life of sin. I'm like, yeah, and you woke up this morning and texted your side bitch. So, like,
yeah,
you know, who's really struggling here, you know?
For some
like,
cases, quite literally.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Just because your sin is different doesn't mean that your sin is better. Like, just because you've justified your sin in your head does not mean that somebody else hasn't justified their sin in theirs. And also, we're told to live like Christ and try to be like him. But we're also told that we're never going to fucking make it. So why not just try? Like, why can't we just try to be awesome people who love everybody and accept everybody? And if we really were teaching the Word of God, we would teach people to love and accept and push through all of these things.
Yeah.
Booyah.
Booyah,
Hannah said booyah. I don't know if anyone could hear it in the microphone, but
so I think that's why I identify as a Christian, because I have a relationship with God and I grew up in the Christian church. But I have a lot of really big issues with the things, like the pillars of modern Christianity.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it should be, the Word of God should be taken, and this is going to piss people off, sorry, but as literal as it says. I mean, you have to think about even the Constitution of the United States. Like, everything is said, like, the man, the man, the man, the man, the men, the man, the man, the men.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the reason it's worded that way is because that's the time it was written in. That's how people were perceiving people.
Yeah.
Like, that was who was people back then. Like, that's how they viewed it. It's the same thing with, like, slavery and everything. Like, oh, and the black man gets 3/4 of a vote. Well, that's because they literally saw those people as 3/4 of a person.
Yeah.
And so if everything is written from the perspective of said writer, then all the people who wrote the Bible were writing from whatever time they were writing in. They weren't writing from the future or from the present day or from the actual vision of God, because we can't see what God saw. You dumb shits. We're human.
Exactly.
So yeah. So I don't know where I stand necessarily, but I have a relationship with God. I don't know, like I said, I don't know what that looks like at all, except for the fact that I feel it.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Well, and I feel it's good to constantly be in a state of questioning, especially about these kinds of things. So and the Bible would back me up on that.
100%.
So I think you're a great Christian, Maddy.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Dad, did you hear that?
What, is Dad there?
No, I was just, if he's watching, I was like, Dad! He's not a pastor anymore, so he doesn't necessarily care.
Yeah.
Dad 10 years ago would give me a pat on the back.
Yeah, right. Have you looked into any other religions or done any studying of philosophy at all? I'm just curious. We don't get to talk too much. So.
No, I actually took a class when I was up in Flagstaff on Buddhism and Hinduism.
See, I told you the damn liberals, they just will make you not believe in God anymore. You go to them liberal colleges, Maddy. You can't do that.
I know, I'm so sorry. No, but I think that's kind of where I started this whole, like, having a hard time identifying as a Christian was when I went through that class, because the things that they teach in their religions are very similar. You know, they're very much like basically just being a good person, a good human.
Yeah.
And having compassion is kind of like the biggest factor, and I feel like a lot of religions are like that. They're very, well, whether they actually live it out or not, but the base of the religion is very compassion related. And so, and I might sound like an absolute crazy person to some people, but that's okay. I actually was talking to my professor when I was in that class, and I was like, what if we're all right?
No, yeah.
Like, what if our heaven and our hell, or wherever we believe that we're going, is where we go? Like, beautiful place where I get to, you know, live out my life in glory and the pearly gates and the But what if someone is reincarnated and they wake up one day and they're like, I did it. Like, I was right. Like, I don't know what your truth is.
Yeah.
So if your truth is that you will be reincarnated and you die, I won't know what happens. I won't know if you lived out your truth or not. That's the whole thing, is like, we don't know what happens on the other side, right?
Interesting. Yeah.
So that's kind of another aspect of it where I'm like, well, what if we're all right? What if it's whatever we believe or want it to be or say we're going to go, and that's where we end up? Because that is our ideal version of living life out. And what if God just wants us to live live your best life, girl. And you're like, what if he just wants us to? What if he just wants us to? I think we could all be right in some sense. Because I also have a hard time believing that to believe a religion, or who have just lived an honest, good life, or have never even heard of the word Christianity. I find it super hard to believe that God's going to go, oh, well,
Sorry,
you didn't
bro.
actually say you believe. Yeah, exactly. Like, you never got baptized in the right way, so you're not welcome here. Like, I have such a hard time believing that that's true, because the Bible tells me the opposite almost on every single page.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yes, like, you have to choose to go through with it and choose to believe in him or choose this right path. But what if I was never given the opportunity to learn it the way that you did? What if I was never given the opportunity to see anything except for one religion? Like, does the entire country of North Korea just go to hell because they've been brainwashed to believe in something? Does entire nations in Africa just go straight to hell because they haven't ever seen a Bible before?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure there's a verse in the Bible. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it is at least interpreted in answering this question, at least from growing up Southern Baptist, from the Southern Baptist perspective, which is something that always made me, it was like a little bit of a mind fuck, but basically, if someone, so it's like the idea of the infant, right? So if someone is an infant, okay, let's say an infant dies. Most Christians would say, based on this, again, I don't remember the verse at all off the top of my head, but that the infant still gets to go to heaven because it didn't have a chance to know who God was. And in a similar heaven, because they never got the chance to choose between God. So I'm not saying that all Christians believe this. Is just from my experience being explained this, which always baffled me, because I would be like, okay, then why are we sending missionaries to these places?
Yeah, more people will go to heaven if you stop telling people
Yeah,
about
exactly what I was thinking. I was like, more people would go to heaven if you didn't go over there and share Jesus with them, right?
If you kept your goddamn mouth shut, we would see more homies up there, okay?
Right? It's just like, man, maybe we really should just keep it in our hearts, like it says.
Wow.
Yeah. But power, Hannah said. Right?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, that's something that always, speaking of power, that always bugged me about like mission and stuff, was, especially after going on that trip, something that always bothered me, especially once I got back from Africa. And I didn't really share this with anybody until after I moved, essentially. But it always bothered me that I don't know how you raised your money, but I like posted something on Facebook and had the $3,000 or whatever it was to go to Africa like immediately, because so I raised like $3,000 or whatever it was for the plane tickets and housing me and such for the week that we were there. And like going there and seeing like, oh, these people like have nothing and they need blankets, and like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like why am I here? And then at some point during the trip, we were told like, just like, and maybe we were told even before, but you guys are going to learn more from them than you're going to teach them, right? Like, you're not going to turn anyone over to God, right? In a week while you're there, but you're going to be showing God's love, and they'll show you God's love and all this other stuff. And I couldn't help but wondering why, with such poverty, A, why God would let that happen. B, why the fuck? This is where my problem with mission came in play, and these two things came in together to make me start questioning not only the church that we were with, but just Christianity in general. Was why was $3,000 put to sending some fucking 16-year-old across the world? Granted, it was a cool trip. I don't necessarily regret going. It was fun. I learned a lot. I had some great memories. Met some cool people. But why was that necessary to send some high school kid over for PR purposes? You know, like what's the point? That $3,000 could have been used to actually feed these people and get them medical supplies. And you know how much $3,000, how many homes $3,000 could build in a country like Malawi? I'm not talking like homes, but like, shelters and stuff. Like let's just take into account that trip. Let's say Hannah, can you do some salary for the average person? $45,000 a year. Okay. Take that year's salary and you put that over there. You could get those people clean drinking water with all that money. You could get people $45,000.
And the currency exchange, our dollar is worth, at least when I went, our dollar was worth more than, I think it was like, I want to say almost like 10 times their money in Malawi.
I think it was more than that, but yeah.
Yeah, so
$100 would be like 1,000.
Yeah. So
that would be good.
Yeah, so like it would change it even more than what we can like imagine in our heads because we're used to thinking of things in like US dollars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
and
it's not like that there.
Yeah, and even though the US dollar still carries more weight over there, their biggest problem with their currency is the inflation of their currency. So it's similar to like the peso, right? Where you're like, how many pesos? Oh, it's that many dollars? Okay, that makes sense. And then you look at the wages and stuff like that, and it's like supposed to. I mean, they don't have comparable wages at all, but the price of things is technically comparable to the dollar.
Yeah.
It's just there's more of them,
That's true.
So a thing would cost. So in theory, a thing would cost $1 versus $100 there, particularly, but in other countries with inflation problems, it would be similar to coming across $100. Their money would be similar to having like $100 bill there would be similar to having a dollar bill here. Like you'd be able to buy the same amount of things with either one. Anyways, but yeah, so it's like it was just that's what really ticked it off for me was just like, what the fuck? What is this all about? Why is this a thing? But
yeah, when I got back, I lost it on a blonde Mormon girl in my math class. Like really bad. She was complaining about how she didn't have enough room in her new closet. She had just moved or something. She didn't have enough room in her new walk-in closet to set up her multi-level shoe display. And this was like the week we got back to school. Mm. And so just for people who don't know, usually high schoolers go on mission trips over the summer because that's when they have multiple weeks off. And then they obviously come back and they go back to school and whatnot. So I was like, that year I went to Africa. I came back. I was home for 3 days and I went to summer camp. And then I came back from summer camp. I had like a week off and then I was back at school. So it was like God, school. Mm-hmm. And I honestly loved my trip to Malawi, but I 100% agree that I got way more out of it than any of those people did. Mm-hmm. 1,000%. Like there's no question about that. And I wondered the same thing when I got back, but I don't think I let it affect me as much. I think my mindset when I got back was, I have to do something now that I've experienced this, in order to not have all this go to waste, I have to do something. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where my thought process went. And I did a lot of fundraising for like charity water. I gave up like a birthday or something and
I
like
remember that.
donated all my stuff to charity water because they were actually the ones who were building the wells instead of paying us to go over there to look at them and pump them.
Yeah.
So I did that. I helped like people have garage sales and stuff to raise money for random charities and stuff like that. So I kind of took it as like I can't let all this go to waste because I saw that it was a waste. But I lost on this girl in my math class because she was complaining about her shoes not fitting. And I legit flipped my desk.
Oh,
I was like, Jesus. I like flipped the table. I was so mad. I was like, these Pharisees! False teachers of the land! No, but, well, you know.
Yeah.
So I was so deeply mad. I like threw my desk. I was screaming at the top of my lungs, like, you. And at that point, I was still in high school, so I was like, I'm proud, Mara. So I didn't curse at her, but I was like, you entitled person. Like, I can't even tell you the experiences that I just had, and it's because of idiots like you. Like, you're the reason that we have all of this and they have nothing. It's because you're greedy about how many pairs of heels you can collect in your fucking closet, and these people don't even have shoes. Their feet are so calloused that they don't feel it if they walked on fucking cactuses or if they walked on fire. Like, they wouldn't feel it.
Yeah.
Because they had calluses on their feet. They, like, made shoes because they had nothing else to do except for their skin to grow shoes. So their skin grew these protective pads on the bottom of their feet so they didn't have to have real shoes. And that's insane. And we were there, and they would want our water bottles. And we were told we couldn't give it to them. We were told that then they think that white people have everything and they're just going to keep begging you for stuff. And I'm like, they should.
Right.
They should be begging me for everything that I own. In fact, they shouldn't be begging. I should just be giving it to them.
Yeah.
And I really wish that they would have put more emphasis on anything you bring over. Like you can leave. Because I left basically all of my clothes and like all of my shoes except for one pair. And that was because they told us kind of at the end, like, hey, you know, whatever you want to donate, you're willing to. And they told us that in the beginning too, but it was more of like a hey, by the way, you can do this. It wasn't like a, hey, bring over anything and everything you can and that you don't want. Like, go through your closet, pick every shirt that you haven't worn in the last 6 months and give it to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was frustrating for me too. When I got back, I emptied out my closet and just kind of started the whole minimalistic lifestyle focus, which is obviously really hard to do in the United States because all we focus on is the things that we have and the things we don't have. But I was really broken when I got back from Africa because I was kind of the same. Like, I didn't understand why we had all this shit and they had nothing. And I didn't understand, like you said, why God would let that happen. I didn't get any of this stuff. And I don't even remember what sermon or whatever I was listening to when I was at summer camp. But I don't think I've ever cried so hard in my life. Shout out to Dylan Barry for literally holding me for 4 hours while I cried my eyes out at summer camp. You the bomb, dude.
He's cool.
He was in Africa with me, and so I broke down, and someone was like, "What's wrong?" And I was just like, "Africa," and they're like, "Dylan, come help us!" And so he showed up. But yeah, it was just that was I'll agree that was another thing that made me start and all those kinds of things, because it's literally the same as politics, basically.
Yeah, man. What do you think about politics? I know we're going way over on time, but I don't care if you're
okay,
fine.
cool.
Okay, well then I need to interject. I I need the fucking charger, dude. My phone died like
Hannah
2
needs
minutes ago.
Hannah needs the charger apparently.
Okay,
That's what she's
pausing.
saying. Oh no, it's fine. We don't have to pause. It's live, so we're not
Yeah.
pausing anything.
I just needed.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry.
It's fine. It's plugged in right
Love you, Maddie.
I love you too, Hannah. Independent.
there. An independent. Okay. What would you call yourself?
An independent.
An independent.
Okay, so I took that little quiz or whatever thing
That was the next thing I was gonna ask you.
and I don't even really. Okay, I'll be completely honest. I don't know a whole lot about like the lingo of politics. Like I don't know which one is the far right, and I don't know which one is the far left. So people are like, I'm far right. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you are. Can you just tell me if you're a Democrat or a Republican? Because I'm really confused right now. And they're like, where are you? And I'm like, somewhere in the middle. I don't know. Kind of why I chose to be an independent. And I will say that Mom and Dad's views and stuff on politics and religion and all that stuff, when I was around the age of being able to vote, that was after they had left the church and kind of started to do some soul searching of their own, and kind of started to have real in-depth conversation what they were told to believe for so long. And so a lot of their self-discovery kind of molded my views. And so I think that I'm very in the middle, and I'm registered as an independent because I don't think that one side has all the answers.
Yeah.
I think that it's a blend of the two. I think that you have to have multiple perspectives. You have to have the Democrats and you have to have the Republicans, or at least you have to have opposing viewpoints in order to have a real discussion. It doesn't have to be labeled as Democrats and Republicans. But you have to have people who have opposing viewpoints in order to have a real discussion about something. But you also have to have people who are in the middle, who are willing to offer up solutions and who are willing to offer up compromises in a way that both sides get the base of what they want, but it also betters, in this case, America, because that's where I live. So I think that's kind of why I registered as an independent, was because I was like, well, I don't trust this person to reach their hand across and shake hands with the other person, but I also don't trust the other person to do it back. So I'm going to be an independent, and obviously each election there's not every election there's new people, but there's usually a new candidate, a new person who's running, a new choice to be made, really. And I want to be able to make that choice freely. And I don't know a whole lot about politics, but I know that like if you register to be a Republican or if you register to be a Democrat, don't you get like different ballots than other people?
So only in the primaries.
Okay.
So for instance, what's going on right now with the DNC, the Democrats, with Biden and
Which
Bernie.
side are they? Right or left?
Left.
Okay, good to know.
I like to describe Democrats as center left and Republicans as center right.
Okay.
They are it's the big two-party system that we have right now. So Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden are, I wish I could say a heated race, but from his house. Between those two things, it's not really a heated race. It's just very annoying. Also, the DNC keeps doing a bunch of weird, corrupt shit again. But anyways, what were we talking about? Oh, primaries. So the only thing that would be different is, for instance, anyone registered Democrat gets to vote whether or not they want which one they want, Biden or Bernie, to then represent the Democratic Party in the general. And so then the general is what, as an independent, you get to vote in, whether that'll be Bernie or Biden versus Trump. And so
anybody but Trump. And it's 100% personal. Like it's
100.
like, I don't follow politics enough to really know what he's done to change America or make America great again or whatever the fuck his slogan is. But I don't like him.
Yeah,
I think he's a racist. He is fucking the issue with toxic masculinity that is him. There's just so many things that he stands for, that he is, that I have such a hard time even like this whole coronavirus thing. I would like watch, especially when mom and dad were in Mexico. I had to watch him talk about the coronavirus. And I hated mom and dad for the solid 2.5 weeks that they were gone, because they made me sat there and listen to him, because they had to figure out if he was going to close the Mexican border so that I could tell them to come home.
Yeah, for me, it's dually personal and policy wise. I don't like the dude. But so for me, like I registered as a Democrat only in this last general election just so that I could vote in the primary for Bernie. Because I think Hillary is a corrupt piece of shit. And I really wanted Bernie to get in there, and she just represents everything that the establishment is. And I ended up voting for Hillary because after much debate in my mind whether or not to, because I was on that, never Trump board people. Yeah. But now I'm looking at Biden. Okay, first of all, my problem is that you have the DNC doing some shady shit, trying to rig it for Biden. Same thing they did with Hillary.
Yeah.
Biden has now been accused and caught on video doing some suspect shit as well, of sexual harassment and even rape. Dope. Sexual assault. So that's a thing. And he just again represents that that corrupt side of politics that I hate. And so part of me goes, well, maybe I won't vote for him. Maybe I'll vote for whoever the CPUSA or the Green Party candidate. CPUSA is Communist Party of America. Yeah. But whoever they back, maybe I'll just go for whoever that is, because my morals with Biden, it's just really hard, especially because I know more about Biden than I even knew about Hillary at the time. And it's just like, fuck, dude, I don't want to vote for you at all. And so I don't know. I'm on this like weird.
Well, because then it's almost like the same thing as last election, as everybody was like, okay, well, who's the lesser of two evils? And I understand why a lot of people who had that mindset going into the election voted for Trump over Hillary. Because Hillary, time and time again, has proven that she's manipulative and conniving and can do stuff behind people's backs all the time. Mm-hmm. Whereas Trump doesn't. I'm sure he does that stuff, but he doesn't always necessarily care. Like, he's an asshole up front. Like, you kind of know what you're getting into, You're like, okay, we're putting a dick hole in the president office. Like we're aware. So it's almost like, do you let the person that you can see through and can process kind of where his thought process is, because he's so, I say open lightly, but just open about how he feels about everything? Or do you go with Hillary, who has proven that she's awesome at manipulating and doing all those things behind people's backs? Yeah. So I think that's why a lot of people who were on that double-edged sword went with Trump, because they were like, well, I'd rather just have a businessman in the office than a conniving person. You know what I mean? But I also just don't like Trump, so I don't know who I'm going to vote for.
Well, based on what you said, probably not Trump.
No. But I also agree that I don't want Biden in office either.
Is Jill Stein running again?
I don't know. I know that last election people wrote in Dad's name.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was quite a few people who were like, I just wrote in Jason Robinson because I didn't know who else to write.
That's awesome.
So last election, I voted for the Independent Party. Honestly, I don't even remember who was doing any of that. But I didn't want to vote for Hillary, and I didn't want to vote for Trump. And yet again, I don't know a whole lot about politics, but I knew that if enough people voted for like the Green Party or the Independent Party or whatever they classify it as, then they could get like a certain number of points on the ballot or something. I don't remember. It was like this whole thing of like if enough people voted in this party, then it was going to be like recognized as a real party.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went with whatever one that was because I was like, I might as well help some people get a voice rather than vote for Hillary or Trump. And it's actually kind of funny because, well, I don't think it's funny, but it's ironic because Anthony is not registered to vote.
Oh, really?
And it pisses me the fuck off because
is he just anti-vote?
No, he's like, I don't care if other people vote. I don't care. He's like, it has nothing to do with other people or nothing to do with politics. It's all him. Mm-hmm. He's like, I don't want to take the time to learn where all these people stand and what they're doing behind people's backs. And he's like, I don't want to spend months and months and months of like investigation into these people so that I can make the right decision. He's like, because what if I make a decision and that person gets voted in and then they're horrible or they're not the right person?
Welcome to America.
Right? And so he was like, he basically was like, I can't live with being the vote that sways.
Mm-hmm.
And that bothers me.
Have you told him that you live in a predominantly red state, and so no matter what he does, it's probably going to be Republican anyways? That's how I feel with us. It's like, no matter what I do, when I vote, it's going to be blue.
Yeah, and I've kind of told him, like, what sucks is that I tell him that, and then he's like, well, if my vote doesn't necessarily matter,
it's got a point.
Why should I vote? And I'm like, damn you. For me, voting is the tiniest way that I get a say in what happens. Because although I know that it technically won't change anytime soon, but eventually, and no offense to the older people, so if I am at least participating and enough people agree to participate who have an opposing view to what the older generations have thought about, then over time, the state could change.
Yeah.
Because we're voting new officials. We have people, that's just the way life works. Like people die and new people replace them, and those people have different thought processes.
I was going to say too that you should mention to him and bring up the local elections, because he definitely has a point when you are looking at the general election. So when you're looking at the president, I would even say probably your senators and maybe even the governor. If you look at the percentage points and what your vote is, does it really make a say though when it's your district that's up? Which is part of the county, or like just one county, depending on the size. But where you guys are at, probably part of the county.
It's part of,
yeah. So it's just one small portion of the whole state as a whole. So think about all your neighbors, and that's who's voting. Then you look at the city mayor and the state councilmen that are even smaller districts. even more localized. When you look at those elections, your voice really does matter. And so, unfortunately, Republicans in the right, they say unfortunately for me, as a far leftist, unfortunately for me, the Republicans in the right are really good about voting in these and caring about these smaller elections. I think a lot of that has to do with the viewpoint, right? So as a communist, I'm looking for bigger government, right? And so majority of the thought process is issuing for. But when you look at the right and libertarianism, especially, you're looking at actual state does matter, and he actually does have a say in. So I would recommend that to him. Just be like, hey, you know what? Write in, whoever designed the latest BMW as the president on your ballot. I don't care. Just register and, look at your local stuff and actually vote on those. And look at those people. Like really, really look at those people. And that way you're actually looking at people. They don't have 1,000 different conspiracy theories about them. You know what I mean? Like the president does. Yeah. You can't spend
personal Facebook page and that's about it.
Yeah, and then you can look at their website for spend and max an hour per person, and you can find most of what you need to know about your local people. And so I would recommend that because it does matter in local elections. And local elections change the face of general elections. So
well, that's something that although there's the argument that your vote doesn't matter, there's also
I mean, you look at half. I think it's about half of the population in the United States votes. Only half.
And that's crazy to me. I don't know a whole lot about politics, but I still go out and vote. And I mean, last election, so I won't be in class for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, "Yep, that's totally fine. Here's a makeup assignment." Legally, they have to let you go.
Yeah, I was going to say it's illegal for them to say, "Well, that sucks. You need to be in school."
Yeah, but it also, it's so. My point is that it's so easy to vote. You just register and you show up. You show up once every 4 years if you're only doing it in the general election. You know what I mean? It's not super difficult. And for someone who's not super into politics, I still know who I want to vote for when I get a week away from the from the actual election.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so many propaganda things and there's so many all this stuff, and then everybody and their mother going
right.
Because then I just do a quick little search. I'm like, yeah, fuck you, I'm doing with you. So I don't know. To me, I think that everybody should have a voice, and I think that even if you never use it, as long as you have the option to at the last minute, if you wanted to, I think you should be able to.
I tend to agree. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Is there anything else you want to tell the people?
Please go. And I work full time, but summer's coming, and we'll be out there all the time. So please go follow us so that we can share our story with you. Other than that, please go vote and stay the fuck at home.
I love it. All right, stay on the line. Hannah wants to talk to you for a second.
Okay.
All right. Bye, guys. Thanks for listening to the Skulls and Knives podcast. There went Naruto's head. Is gone.